Hey everyone, this is Freedom Hacker Asia Raven, and I'm back with my weekly comic book reviews. And this is the first week of September, so there were a lot of comic books released during the first week of September, but I only picked up 4 of the comic books. So if there was any comic book release that you think that I should read, let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll try to get to it. Okay, so first up, I'm going to talk about Animosity, issue number 23. It's by Aftershock Comics, and it's by Marguerite Binet, Elton Thomas, and Raphael De La Torre. I'm ruining these names, by the way. But yeah, so Animosity is one of my favorite comic books that I've been reading, and it's by Aftershock, and basically it's Planet of the Apes. But imagine if every other animal and every other living being, like bees, flies, even whales and fish, end up gaining human level consciousness, and they're talking to us, the humans, and they want their own rights. And the story follows a little girl called Jessie, and she has a hound dog who is Sandor, and it's a fun comic book series. And basically in issue number 23 is that they finally end up reaching the crossroads, but turns out that there's a human poaching team in there, and they want to kidnap the lemur that is part of Jesse's group. So yeah, humans continue to be evil. But anyway, do read it, it's awesome, and I really hope we end up getting a live action TV series of this, because it's good stuff. Then the next comic book that I read was Champions, issue number 9. This is a Marvel comic book, and it picks up from where the previous issue ended. We saw that Riri Williams, who is Ironheart, is being possessed by an entity known as Blackheart, and Blackheart is feeding into Riri's vulnerabilities and weaknesses, apparently, because if you have been keeping up with the Champion series, Viv, who is Vision's daughter, actually has a crush on Riri, but Riri, I don't think Riri is queer per se, so she can't give Viv what she's looking for. So Riri and a possessed Riri ends up attacking Viv, and then she ends up attacking Dust and Nova and other champions. And basically, it turns out that the only one who aren't infected are Kamala Khan and Miles Morales, who ended up leaving the champion team. But a possessed Nova, ends up going after them, and Viv 2.0, who is apparently a synthetic sister of Viv, ends up going and warning Kamala about it. And it's quite confusing, but it's very enjoyable. So make sure to check it out. Then we have a new comic book by DC Comics, and it's a 6-issue miniseries. Maybe if it does well, we might end up getting more stories, but it's Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. So this story picks up after what happened during that entire fiasco where the villains end up going to rehab, and some of the heroes go to rehab, and Flash ends up killing everyone. And it was a very boring story, if I remember correctly. But anyway, because Poison Ivy died and came back in that series, the new series Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy is actually a story of Harley helping Poison Ivy getting to be comfortable with her new body, and Lex Luthor arrives. He doesn't arrive per se, but he ends up delivering a gift for Poison Ivy that allows her to gain more control over her new body. And Harley Quinn's there, and Harley Quinn isn't really sure if she wants to be a villain anymore. She thinks that if she's a hero, other people will take her seriously. But by the end of it, Floronic Man ends up attacking Poison Ivy, and yeah, it's fun. If you guys are fans of Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn, I do urge that you pick the series up, support it, so that we get more stories like this. Now, even though we know that Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy are in a romantic relationship, I was hoping that this series would dive more into it, but it doesn't. So for people who don't know that Harley and Poison Ivy are queer for each other, those readers might think that they are very close friends. But yeah, that's an area where I thought that a writer could do more, you know. The art's good, so there's that. Then the last comic book that I read was House of X issue number 4, and I did an entire review of it for the Geekiary. The link to that will be down in the comment section below. And it picks up after the events of House of X issue number 3, where Professor X wants Cyclops to take his team into space and destroy the Mother Mold, because the Mother Mold is what's going to give rise to the Nimrod, and that Nimrod is going to cause so much trouble for the mutants in the future. So Cyclops goes into space, and his team consists of Cyclops, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they're on the cover. Cyclops, Jean, M, Monet, Husk, Archangel, Wolverine, and Nightcrawler. So in the previous issue, the humans ended up blowing their X-Jet, so it turns out that Archangel is dead and Husk are dead, which Husk dying I can get, but isn't Archangel supposed to be more durable to at least withstand a bomb exploding? But yeah, Wolverine is injured, Nightcrawler is injured, but basically it turns out that the mission goes wrong. Everyone dies basically. Like I said, Archangel and Husk die of an explosion. Cyclops gets his head blown off by a gun. Mystique ends up getting sucked into space. Wolverine and Nightcrawler end up disintegrating when they come near the Earth, near the sun, not the Earth, the sun. And Jean's escape pod ends up covered in Sentinels now. There are some theories that these weren't the original X-Men. Maybe some of them were, but Cyclops, Jean, and Wolverine weren't the original ones, and they were possibly pod babies that we saw way back in issue 1. So there's that. And also, I'm really surprised that Nightcrawler is dead, because wasn't his previous weirdness about how he can't die because he isn't invited into the afterlife anymore? But yeah, I talked about all of that in my review. And also, in order to stay in contact with Jean, Professor X ends up using the cuckoos to mind meld him, the 3 cuckoos, Beast, Trinary, and Storm, in order to contact Jean, who is like way far from Earth. She's closer to the sun. And then we have a beautiful panel where Storm is using her elemental powers to invoke Jean's image in some water. And I get that there are some fans who think that it was way too much and it was being over dramatic, and having Jean's face appear in the water wasn't really necessary. But you know what? I do appreciate Jonathan Hickman using Storm's power in such a creative manner. Now, if these X-Men do end up being the pod people that we saw back in issue 1, then I do think that Storm and the others don't know about this, and Storm might end up being angry, and maybe it's Storm and Emma who end up leading a revolution against Professor X. Who knows? Because I do think that Professor X is going to, I wouldn't say he's the villain, but he's been doing very shady stuff. But yeah, if you guys have read House of X issue number 4, let me know about your thoughts down below. So these were the 4 comic books that I read this week. Anyway, if there were any comic books that you wanted me to pick up, let me know about them. And yeah, until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll see you guys later.